see Mark Stahl fitting into the decor for next season?
I'll be honest. We were looking. We talked about adding, a little bit of a veteran presence to help our young guys. We never thought that a player like Mark Stahl would have any interest in coming here. So we were pretty excited when we found out that there was a mutual interest. I think it's almost makes too much sense to add a guy like that who's played for Torts, understands what Torts is all about, is willing to kind of pass that message. Where is he going to fit in the lineup? We were very clear with him about what we're doing here and where the process is going, and he wants to help out. Now, he's also a competitor. He's going to play hard, and he's going to try to push our guys and play more and more and more, kind of like what he did in Florida, which I think is great to have, guys like that they love to compete. But adding someone like that has so much experience and can help our young guys just made too much sense almost.
Did he tell you why you had that interest in you guys?
I think it's part of it is being closer to his family. Part of it is the chance to play for Torts as well. And the history of the Flyers. I think it's all these things combined. Was probably something that, and I'm speaking for him. You'd probably have to ask him exactly why, but it's kind of in that direction, I would say.
Yeah, how important do you think he could be for Cam York and your young guys, Danny, in terms of just showing them how to be pros?
We looked around, to add a player like that, and it was tough. We had lots of names, and when his name came up, everybody was unanimous on our staff that he was, the best option. What he's been through in his career, how many games he's played in his career, how many games he's played in the playoffs, the situations he's been in, the fact that he had played for Torts, understand what Torts is trying to do. There's just a lot of factor that made a lot of sense with bringing him aboard.
How important is that, having guys, you said it a couple times, who played for Torts, you thought you'd have it last year with Atkinson, he was hurt, he was out, now you've got Cam will be back, Mark's here.
Yeah.
How important is that as you bring young guys in? Torts can be, for some guys maybe a little more difficult coach to get along with. How important is it to have guys who can sort of translate the message from Torts to what's easier for them to understand?
Yeah, and it's not easy to find. We have Cam Atkinson coming back, Mark Stahl now adding to the mix, and obviously a guy like Sean Couturier who's coming back from, we didn't have him last year around the dressing room. So those are three key guys I think that will help translate the message between the staff and the players. So we feel it's important. Again, we go back to my belief and our belief about the future of this team. We don't believe in tanking. We want our players to improve. They need some guidance. They need some guys that have been there, that have gone through it. So that's it just makes sense, I feel, with adding him. Cam Atkinson's going to help as well as Coots, but he's another big voice, especially on the back end where we wanted to add a little bit of a veteran presence. So to have a guy like that who's been with Torts and understand that is even better.
Danny, you mentioned on Saturday that you wanted to be careful not to block the kids.
Yep.
I guess, why are you not worried that this move will block kids like Zamula, Yinning, Adder, guys like that?
Well, you got to be careful too sometimes with rushing kids. There's the fine line. We were very clear with Mark. Torts spoke to him. It was very clear with him about where we're going with the young guys, and he's on board. He understands that. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the kids are ready. Obviously, Cam York took a big step last year. Zamula cannot clear or has to go through waivers, so we want him to be here. after that, for the other guys, they're going to have to earn it, and it's a little bit of competition. If they're ready, they're going to play. If they're not, we'll give them time, and we'll follow the process the way it should be done. And that's where a guy like Mark Stahl becomes very important. So we're not, we're still competitive.
Is your mindset the same with regards to signing Garnet Hathaway?
Very much, yeah. He helps with our young guys. Another physical presence, a guy that can skate, that can kill penalties. There's a lot of assets, but his presence, especially as a veteran, and the way he's liked on all the teams that he plays, how tough he is to play against as well. It just helps, I think, with the development of our young guys up front as well.
Danny, is there any?
You might be able to send something to halfway because I know you thought you were done. So
Yeah.
did that come as a surprise as well, the way that Saul kind of did?
Yeah, it did. We spoke to them earlier in the day, and it was my bad because I assumed that they had moved in a different direction, and he called back later in the day. The agent told me that don't ever assume you're out until I tell you so. So I was like, okay. So the discussions kicked back on again, and then a few hours later, it got done. So I guess it was my fault for assuming.
Danny, does the Stahl deal have any no trade protection? And if not, did you guys have a conversation with him about the possibility that if you guys aren't in the playoff mix, that he could be moved to the deadline?
Yeah, there's no trade in the contract, but I told Mark that he's earned the rights to decide what he wants to do, just like coming here. We will treat him the way he needs to be treated. Now I have too much respect for him. If there's something there, if he feels that he has enough in the tank and we're not making the playoffs and he would like to go somewhere else to make another cup run, we will try to accommodate him. If he wants to stay here, no matter where we're at, we're also going to accommodate him. So I think he's earned that right to decide. So I will follow his lead on that.
Danny, you mentioned with Stahl that you were a little surprised he wanted to be a part of a rebuild. With Hathaway, he seems like very much like a playoff player. He's 31. Were you surprised he was also interested in being a part of this?
Not really. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really think about that. I think he fits, what we're trying to do. He fits what, the Flyers. He's a Flyer type player. He plays in aggressive games. He's good on the forecheck. But he brings us, elements that are going to help us. When you talk about speed, we want it to be a little faster in the bottom of our lineup. We wanted to have a player that can also help with killing penalties. And when you look at him and Paling, those are the assets that they will both bring. Paling, on top of it, is younger and he can take face-offs. But no, I just thought it was a good fit for both he and the organization.
Danny, you mentioned about the Torts factor in terms of being a translator. Obviously, the way this group has been laid out, it's kind of like the triumvirate of leadership with you, Keith, and Torts. Did Torts want a guy like Mark Stahl? Like, was this a move that maybe he not necessarily pushed for, but said that he would like if he got a veteran defenseman to help out on the back end? Yeah, no.
When Torts found out that Mark Stahl was interested in coming in, he was on board right from the get-go. To be honest, it's not a name that we had discussed because we didn't think that was a possibility. With how well he had played down the stretch and into the playoffs in Florida, we kind of assumed that he would go back there or probably want to go to a contender to make another cup run right at the moment. So we hadn't discussed him much, but everybody was on board when we found out there was interest on his part.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.